Hello everyone, my name is Shelby Kasperger and I'm here to talk to you today about the life and career of Margaret Bourke-White. Margaret Bourke-White was a photographer, author, and photojournalist known for documenting the Great Depression in the South and for going overseas during World War II and documenting the liberation of concentration camps in Nazi Germany. So Margaret Bourke-White was born in 1904 in the Bronx, New York, to parents who both worked in printing and publishing. Now, Margaret Bourke-White didn't always have a passion for photography. When she first joined Columbia University, she actually was a herpetology major and was more interested in biology. Now, eventually she grew tired of the amount of work demanded of biology majors, and she instead found a passion for photography and photographing the animals that she was studying. So she actually changed universities 4 times and eventually did graduate from Cornell University with a Bachelor of Arts for photography. So pretty much right out of college, she was hired as an editor at Fortune magazine out of Chicago. So for Fortune magazine, she was sent to travel to the Soviet Union, and there she actually captured a notable photograph of Joseph Stalin smiling, which was fairly rare for the leader of that country. So she also documented the South during the Depression. She traveled pretty much all throughout the South, from California all the way over to Kentucky, during the harder hit years of the Depression. She captured a notable photograph, which I will show later in the slideshow. She also had an involvement with the writer Erskine Caldwell. They were sent to collaborate during the Depression. He was a writer, she was a photographer, so she would photograph their subjects and he would write about them for newspapers and journals and so on. Eventually, Margaret Bourke-White did marry Erskine Caldwell in 1939, but they divorced 3 years later in 1942. Now, after leaving Fortune, Margaret Bourke-White was hired on as the first female photojournalist at Life magazine, which just then had just started up. It was a fairly new magazine. She actually took the photo that ended up on their first cover, which was a dam. So she also was sent to Europe during World War II to photograph basically Germany, Austria, England, and France, but the most notable photos from these travels were the liberation of concentration camps in Germany. After World War II, she also documented the Korean War, apartheid in South Africa, and she went to India to photograph Mahatma Gandhi. So, this is one of Margaret Bourke-White's notable photographs. I just wanted to include 3 in here, just some that you might have already seen actually. This one is called Kentucky Fled. I don't know about you, but I have seen this photo in my own history textbook. It was used to show the contrast between the lives that African American citizens were leading versus the world-famous high standard of living that people often called the American dream. The second notable photograph that I wanted to show you is actually one that was taken as American troops occupied Germany. This is the liberation of Buchenwald, and it was taken in April of 1945. So she was documenting history in real time. The third notable photograph by Margaret Bourke-White that I wanted to show you all today is Gandhi and his spinning wheel. Now, even when Gandhi was imprisoned in India, Margaret Bourke-White was allowed to visit him, and she took this photo of him inside the room where he was being confined. Now, despite being in prison, Gandhi still advocated for a peaceful and non-violent way of dealing with things. So he only requested that he have a spinning wheel in his room with him, and largely due to this photograph, that became a symbol of Gandhi himself. Now, the significance of Margaret Bourke-White, I think, is a pretty important one, especially for women in the field of photojournalism. Now, Margaret Bourke-White not only witnessed history in the making, but she broke the glass ceiling in photojournalism for women. She was the first female photographer at Life and opened the doors for many others to follow her. Her work inspired a lot of people to go over and document things that people didn't necessarily want documented, sort of the underbelly of American society or the horrors of war that no one wanted to talk about. She did document wars and the Depression, and so for that reason remains alive in our history textbooks with all of her works. And she's very important to me personally because I enjoy photography, and she is one of my favorite photographers. These are my references. I thank you all for watching.